YouTube? This is your boy Alex. This is the second half of my YouTube video. This is going to go on my sports channel. I do 2 videos a day, and then I just chill out for the rest of the day. Now, this is going to be the next video in my basketball series. I told you I do 3 basketball videos, 3 football videos in my series on some of the best, some of the greatest basketball players of all times. And this is the second video in that basketball series. I'm a man of my word. Might take a day, might take 2 days, might take a week, might take 2 weeks, but you do get the videos. Now, not everybody on this list is everybody's favorite big man in professional basketball. Some of y'all will love the list. Some of y'all, unfortunately, will be unhappy by the names on this list. Now, should the list be even longer? It should, but then the video will end up being a 35, 40-minute video, and then it takes me almost 4 hours to upload onto YouTube. And some people don't want to watch videos that are too long. Like, trust me, the longer you make a video, the more agitated people get when you make that type of video. So, with sports, I try to keep it between 15 to 20 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes if it's a good video. So let's see if we can keep the time under, okay? Alright, it's going to be called NBA Top 10 Best Big Men in the NBA Players of All Time. So we'll change the title up to The Greatest NBA Players of All Times. Coming in at number 10 is Dwight Howard. Now, he comes in like a 7'1", 7'2", 260 pounds. He's like, what if the Incredible Hulk played basketball? But instead of the aggressiveness and the anger, he does it with a nice smile. You know, he slam dunk on you, he smile. You know, if he scores 20, 30 points, he smiles. Now, some people don't like when he smiles. To me, I was always fascinated how he handled constructive criticism under pressure. You know, his interviews, good man, he knows what to say, what not to say. You know, he waits until he's spoken to. And when he got drafted in 2005 of the NBA draft and was selected #1 pick of the Orlando Magics, some people greatly compared Dwight Howard to another guy that's on this list, Shauille O'Neal. Both basketball players started their careers in Orlando. Both players ended up playing for different organizations years later. Of course, we know one of them has already won championships. Now, to me, Dwight Howard's first 10 years of professional basketball, he became like the 2nd or 3rd premier center, power forward, to dominate. He was more of a power forward / small forward than he was a center. So he showed the potential that he could play 2 or 3 different positions, and he was powerful on defense. You know, he would get like at least 15 to 20 rebounds. He would score his 10, sometimes 20 points. And the guy did it with such class and flair that I think that's why people don't like him smiling. And he did go to 1 NBA Finals, and it was against Kobe Bryant, the legendary great Kobe Bryant, and those Lakers in the 2009 NBA Finals, where he had a chance to win an NBA championship, and it didn't happen. And then when he went to the Houston Rockets, he was like still in the prime of his career. Unfortunately, he had back problems, and he stayed with that team for about 4 years and 6 months, and he got traded to another team where he would be on a team with Kobe. And I don't have to tell you what happened there. And then he found himself with the Atlanta Hawks, and then he makes his return back to the Lakers. So to have him team up with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Rondo, and the start that the Lakers had this season is incredible. Now, he is going to go down in history as one of the few players that should have been on this level. You know, they were trying to get him on this level before, but now he's on that level. And you see there's a big difference. He went from this nice, smiley version of himself to this powerful, rugged, aggressive version of himself. I like the aggressiveness. I like the explosiveness. You still see flashes of the old Dwight Howard on how he would dominate you on defense. And now you're seeing him do it with defense and offense. You see flashes of it. You know, there was one game where LeBron James wasn't playing where he stepped up and had 16, 17 points. And I was shocked to see him turn into this aggressive version. Like the player that Shaq said he should have been in the first place, it turns out he has now turned into that player. Who behind the scenes gave him the motivation to do it? It's beyond me. And I've actually seen him in person once at the Grove. Seeing Dwight Howard on TV doesn't cut how big and strong this guy is. Seeing him in person, you'd be like, now that's the Incredible Hulk right there. Coming in at number 9 is Patrick Ewing. Now, one can say he was the best college basketball player in college basketball. Won 2 or 3 championships in college basketball and went against his all-time rival, Michael Jordan, the greatest player to ever play the game in NBA history. To have a rivalry with this man in college, turn around and play against your arch nemesis in the NBA, what more could you ask for? Now, Patrick Ewing was like what Dwight Howard should have been in the beginning of his career. Very aggressive, very powerful, very dominant on offense and defense, can kill you inside the paint. You couldn't get no rebounds with Patrick Ewing when you was battling the Knicks. You asked Reggie Miller and the Indiana Pacers. That's the stuff of legends. The way Patrick would look at you with that look like, where you think you going, man? And this guy would literally block your shot. You could be going for a three-point shot, and this guy would jump into the sky and come down and block the shot like he was King Kong, like, what's up? Where you going? Shut your game down. You couldn't do nothing with Patrick Ewing. And the guy went to 2 NBA finals. And to me, as great as a player as he was, unfortunately, the first NBA finals, he was injured. Now, when he got to go back to another finals in 1999, it just unfortunately happened to be against Tim Duncan and David Robinson, a.k.a. the Twin Towers. Again, he put up some good Hall of Fame numbers, and again, he was injured. It seemed like during the season, you get the best Patrick Ewing you can get, and then for reasons not explained, thanks to injuries, you see him get to go to the NBA Finals twice and come up short twice. And everybody knows, as good as he was, I think he could have won at least one championship. You know, at least he could at least had one. It's just unfortunate that he plays, and then when he found himself playing in the twilight of his career, you didn't get that angry explosiveness anymore. Now you just got a guy who just would play at a level, and you could see little flashes here and there of what he was in the 80s and the early 90s. Coming in at number 8 is Dirk Nowitzki. Now, the guy has gone to 2 NBA Finals. He has won 2 MVPs, 1 NBA Finals MVP, and he does have a championship on his resume. And for him to be a German basketball player at his height to hit three-pointers is uncommon. For years and years in the NBA, they have never had nobody his size, his height, with that strength and power, and the guy would be hitting threes as if he was Michael Jordan. And you're looking at Dirk like, I ain't never seen nobody that tall just hit threes like that. And he wouldn't just hit them over small people. He'd be hitting threes over people close to his height. And a lot of times, Tim Duncan would be wondering, how am I supposed to stop this guy if he can shoot threes over me? Same thing with Shaq. Shaq be like, how on earth can I stop someone like this? And he shoots over me. And to play almost 2 decades in the NBA is also unheard of. And the fact that he should have won more championships lets you know just how great of a player he is. He should have won more titles, but of course injuries played his career, and it's just unfortunate he just can't get higher on this list. Coming in at number 7, lucky number 7, Kevin Garnett, a.k.a. KG. Came out of high school and straight into the NBA in the 1995 NBA draft. Selected either number 1 or number 2, and was picked by who else? The Minnesota Timberwolves. At 6'11", 245 pounds, Kevin Garnett was like Wolverine with the basketball. He would go out and get 15, 20 rebounds, 15, 20 blocks, and he would slam dunk on you. And it didn't matter if you were tall or short, didn't care what your position was. And he got criticized for coming out of the NBA, going into the NBA at 18, 19 years old. He by far was the youngest player. Then a year later, it was Kobe Bryant, and he got criticized. And as time went on, and during his 13 years with the Timberwolves, he managed to become MVP twice. He managed to make the playoffs 7 out of his 13 years. And there was one point in history where he could have actually knocked off the Lakers with the squad that he had. Latrell Sprewell, Chauncey Phillips, Kevin Garnett. That was a powerful team in the West that would compete against the Lakers, the Sacramento Kings, the way they would just come in and take on the Spurs, the Rockets, the Suns, you know. And then when he got traded to the Boston Celtics, he managed to win an NBA championship. It turns out he was the missing piece to help his boy Paul Pierce win. And then go to a second NBA Finals against the late, great Kobe Bryant in a 7-game series where he could have won another championship. So again, here's another great player who managed to win a title, go to 2 finals, should have won 3 championships, but injuries, and I mean injuries, did shorten his career to the point where even in the twilight of his career, he still put up those numbers. Again, with Garnett, you can see little flashes here and there of what he was in Minnesota and in Boston. Coming in at number 6 is David Robinson. Now, David Robinson was the prototype of being a 7-footer that could do it all. He could play offense. He could play defense. He can get blocks, rebounds, steals. The guy could run point, which you might find hard to believe at his height. He ran point 2 or 3 times in his career. And he had one game where he scored 71 points. Of course, you got to give Dennis Rodman some credit and some respect because Dennis Rodman was getting like 35, 40 rebounds, and he was scoring points off those rebounds. And it was in a pivotal game. Like, this was like in a playoff game. Unheard of for a player of his stature to drop those monstrous numbers in the playoffs. Like, I think someone said something about David Robinson not being able to be a good player, and he just went off. All of a sudden, you hit a 3, and another 3, a slam dunk, a free throw, 3. It was like he was doing a little bit of everything, and the way David Robinson did it kind of had people scratching their head like, that's the type of performance Michael Jordan does. And here's a big man dropping numbers. Bam, here go another shot. Bam. All right, you don't think I can do it from close range? Bam. All right, let me go from far back. Bam. And as a little kid, I was scratching my head like, I ain't never seen nobody other than Michael Jordan do something like that. And he won MVP that year. And they had the best record, like 60-plus wins or something like that when he done it. And it has to make you wonder just how far he could have gone. And that was a basketball game that actually did finish. So you can imagine what would happen if the late, great Kobe Bryant's 81, like, it was on the same level. Kobe's 81 will never be topped, but in the playoffs, David Robinson put up Michael Jordan numbers, and he was a center. Now, he only done it one time. He had never done it since. But on that day, David Robinson showed that he could play and do those types of numbers. And to his credit, he did win 2 NBA championships. Could have won 3, but he did manage to win 2. And he did eventually win Finals MVP. Just imagine what would happen if he would have stayed a little longer with Tim Duncan. Just imagine. Coming at number 5, Shaquille O'Neal. The most dominant center in today's NBA. I mean, there have not been players before or since with his strength. When Shaq came in 92 or 93 NBA draft, picked it by the Orlando Magics, the guy destroyed basketball courts, okay? He would slam dunk so hard, it was like, what would have happened if you took Incredible Hulk and Red Hulk and fused them in together? You got Shaq. The glass broke. Every time he played a game, people ran from under the court, slam sunked it, and broke it. Sometimes I was a little kid, I would just jump up and pretend I was Shaq. And of course, my dad would be like, get your ass back. You get too close up on the TV. And I was just shocked. I was mesmerized. The way Shaq would just come in and just break the glass. Of course, he got fined a couple of times. And the one weakness of Shaq was his free throws. He couldn't make free throws, so they would foul Shaq. And even when they did it, it was still hard to guard somebody like Shaq. You only had a few players that could come in the NBA and actually do that. And of course, he won 4 championships, but the potential that he had, he should have won 6, but he won 4. And of course, injuries played Shaq. The first 10 years, Shaq was dominant. The second half of Shaq's career, players were now able to contest his ability because of injuries. And we all know if Shaq was not injured the second half of his career, the second half of his career would have probably been just as good as the first half of his career. So that has to make you wonder, what type of Shaq you would have got had it not been for all those injuries. Coming in at number 4 is Tim Duncan. Now, to me, he's won 5 championships, gone to 6 NBA finals, played like nearly 18 years of professional basketball with one team, the San Antonio Spurs, and it has to make you wonder, if it weren't for Tim Duncan, Spurs would have never won those championships. Yeah, they might have had guards, point guards, players, but without him, they would have never won that many championships. Teams who passed on him in the draft made the biggest mistake when they found out he was able to be the reason why they always went to the finals and always won. Here's another guy, 7 feet tall, on the same level as Shaquille O'Neal. Now, to me, it's unfortunate that he can't be higher on this list of best big man or greatest big man because he's so underappreciated. People give a lot of credit to players like Bruce Bowen, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, when it's this guy who learned from David Robinson. He learned from David Robinson. David Robinson gave him the blueprints and the ingredients for success. And after winning the 5 championships, people still do not think of Tim Duncan on that same level as a Michael Jordan or a Kobe or as a Shaq, which it just goes to show you that you can win all those championships, but if you're a role player, people don't appreciate you as much. And to me, they should, because he was the missing piece that every NBA team needed. If you think about all the centers, power forwards, small forwards you got in the NBA, they all should model themselves after someone like Tim Duncan. He took less money. He made sacrifices and won championships because of his humble ability. And the fact that the guy did it with such class makes you wonder why he's not being appreciated. Coming in at number 3 is Hakeem Olajuwon. Now, this is a player who learned from Moses Malone. He came in with the Houston Rockets, and less than 7 years later, in his prime, he was able to do to Shaquille O'Neal that other players could not do to Shaq. He was able to dominate any player in the NBA. He put up Hall of Fame numbers, all-star numbers. He had breakout games where he could score 20, 30 points just by slam dunking the basketball. And he could make his free throws. He was able to shut down David Robinson. You know, there was that one game in the 1993-1994 NBA season where they gave David Robinson MVP, and Olajuwon was like, I'm the real NBA MVP. And the fact that he shut down David Robinson, and he didn't just do it one game, he did it every time they played. And he goes into the NBA Finals and dominates a Shaquille O'Neal in the 1995 NBA Finals and wins 2 NBA championships back-to-back with the Houston Rockets. Now, he had, with his potential, he actually could have literally won 3, 4, maybe 5 NBA championships. But injuries, they traded the coach, they started trading players, and when he was in a system where he didn't have the players that he could play around with and he didn't have the coach, that really hurted him. Because without that, he couldn't win another title. You know, when they try to repeat in 96, when they try to go for a three-peat, they slammed into a wall. And not only that Hakeem was injured, 3 other players were injured. Then the coach got fired, and then they broke up the Houston Rockets, and they never was the same in the 90s. And then Michael came back and won more championships. Coming in at number 2 is Wilt Chamberlain. Now, he's a Laker all-time great. Now, you know why he's at number 2, right? Because he done something in NBA history that players before him and after him have never done. That is score 100 points in a basketball game. Of course, he did it by making free throws and slam dunking the ball, but who do you know goes and averages 30, 40, 50 points a game, but then drops 100 points? And the story to that, there's 2 stories to it. There was one story where he wanted to help his team win so bad that he told them, move out the way and give me the ball and I'll take care of it. And then the other half was someone said he just was not that good, and he scored 100 and said, I'm good now. And when he shows the paper of 100, it goes down in history as one of the greatest games. And you got to remember, that inspired players years later to do what like David Robinson, Kobe Bryant, Michael, all these players come decades later And you get players dropping 40, 50, 60, 70 points a game, 81. If it weren't for Wilt Chamberlain, nobody would be inspired to drew that many points in NBA history. Yes, Wilt won 2 championships. Yes, he gone to 6 NBA finals, but you know what I'm going to say. He should have won more championships. If he had half of the aggressive nature of a Shaq, he probably would have won more. Now for the number 1 greatest big man in NBA basketball history. This guy played in high school and won championships. This guy played in college and won championships. And he won championships with 2 different teams in the NBA. And that is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Why is he the greatest? Because he is the all-around player that has the complete game. Offense, defense, rebounds, blocks, assists. Every now and then, he's also famous for making a shot that Magic nicknamed the Skyhook. To this day, when I go play basketball at the park, I see kids trying to imitate the Skyhook. And he made one of the most powerful shots in NBA history. The way that he throws it up. And the way he says, I'm going into the sky with it. No one can block the shot. And the fact that he done it in an NBA game, a playoff game that was crucial. And then for the ball to go in, and then for that to be the shot that wins them the finals, wins them the championship, was unheard of before. And decades later, you get players trying to imitate the shot, but can't do it unless you've been trained by him to do it. The fact that he wins 6 NBA championships. The fact that he's in the Hall of Fame. The fact that he has a Laker statue. The fact that he was able to tell other players decades later how to work on their big man game. And to win 1 championship with the Milwaukee Bucks, turn around and win 5 with the Lakers to make it a total of 6, shows you that you could put Kareem on any team and Kareem will win championships. And he will also dominate on offense, defense, both sides of the court. It don't matter to him. 4 quarters, overtime, double overtime. And don't call him soft in the game because he'll pop you with 2 or 3 elbows. It may look like because he's tall and skinny and lanky that he ain't got no power. Oh, he got power. I mean, and the fact when you watch the old footage, that let you know this guy was all the players that you see today. If it weren't for Kareem, you would probably not get the players at their sizes coming in the NBA dominating. Like, if he's the blueprints that if you want to be a big man and win championships, you got to do it. I mean, think about it. The only player that I could think of that could come close to this magnitude is Tim Duncan. But what hurts Tim Duncan was he wasn't seen as a high-value player. Kareem is what if Tim Duncan won all the championships and was actually high value. People listened to his ideas. If he wanted to play change in the middle of a game, it was changed. Not just in practice, in the game. And then to be coming back 20 years later to the teams where you won championships and give advice to future players and they listen to you, that says why Kareem's the biggest, greatest big man at number 1. Now, some of y'all probably may have a problem with this list. Some of you might actually be okay with this list. Some of you may not like the names on this list. But this was for fun entertainment, so if you are going to express yourself by commenting, then commenting. Until next time, peace.